They've always said that August is the hottest month of the year, but I beg to differ. For Nintendo, July will be their hottest month yet. Today, we're going to be talking about all of the games for the Nintendo Switch you should be on the lookout for in the month of July. Have you seen the titles that Nintendo's got for July? Well, if you haven't, it's a good thing you dropped by this video and my little corner of YouTube, because wow, Nintendo is on fire. They have continuously given the other consoles a run for their money and have become a major competitor, especially whenever it comes to the games they offer. Their extensive library has grown massively over the years, from Nintendo first-party exclusives to third-party games, independent games, and we can't forget about the games that they have been consistently getting that are titles that are also released on other game consoles. There is so many killer cool titles that will be dropping in July, and I am personally amazed that the place isn't burning down. Call in the fire department, because Nintendo has a 5-alarm fire blazing into July release month. Some of the titles we can look forward to is Monster Hunter Stories, Wings of Ruin, The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD, Chris Tales, The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, The World Ends With You, and possibly Pokemon Unite, and so many more that I will go into a little bit later on. Hey, what's up everyone? Wes here, and welcome back to another Nintendo Switch news video. And I know everyone is dying for me to get into this list, so let's start off with the first ones to hit the platform in July. Starting off, we have The Silver Case. It is an immersive visual novel game that takes place in Japan. A string of mysterious serial killings plagues the city, and detectives of the 24 World's Heinous Crimes Unit have their eyes on one man, Kamu Yuhara. However, nobody knows who or what Kamu really is. 25th Ward, The Silver Case. The Silver Case takes place 5 years after the events of 1999's The Silver Case, with a new 25th Ward having arisen in the Bayside area of Kanto. This all drops July 6th, and there's also a Silver Case 2425 Deluxe Edition, which features the Silver Case 2425 for the Nintendo Switch, the official soundtrack CD, the artwork of the Silver Case 2425 softcover art book, and collector's box for $89.99. July 6th also has another game coming out, which is Ys9 Monsterum Knox, which is an action role-playing game played from a third-person perspective. It further builds on the gameplay foundation of previous games, where players control multiple main characters that can be swapped to on the fly, each with their own playstyles and unique skills. Players collect a variety of weapons and items, defeating enemies and opening chests. Players can consume SP to unleash the character's unique skill attack, and landing hits can restore SP on enemies, or can regenerate faster when the player is not attacking. This action RPG releases for the Nintendo Switch on July 6th for $59.99. Next up, we have Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin, which releases July 9th. It is an RPG developed by Capcom for the Nintendo Switch and Microsoft Windows. The story begins with the mass disappearance of Rathalos around the world. As the descendant of the legendary rider named Red, the player character has a fateful encounter with a white-haired Wyverian girl, Enna, who has been entrusted with a Rathalos egg. A flightless Rathalos with a tiny black wings burst out of an egg, which is said to bring ruin to the world in time. This game hatches out on July 9th for the Nintendo Switch for $59.99. Next up, we have The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD that releases July 16th. We have extensively talked about Skyward Sword HD, and I don't know about you guys, but I am excited about this one. An action RPG game that has been remastered from the original, and this looks to be a feast for the eyes for sure. Playing as Link, the players navigate through the floating island of Skyloft and the land below it, completing quests that advance the story and solving environmental and dungeon-based puzzles. Take to the skies and grab this one for $59.99, especially if you have a Pro Controller and you don't feel like playing with motion controls. This is definitely one to pick up. I'm really excited, primarily because I know that we're going to be getting some links to Skyward Sword in the new Breath of the Wild game. Moving on, we have Akibas Trip, Hellbound, and Debriefed, releasing July 20th. Now, Hellbound and Debriefed is the precursor to Akibas Trip Undead and Undressed, which takes the player to the seedy underworld, lurking into the shadows of the haven of otaku culture in the Akihabara district of Tokyo. Released as Akibas Trip Plus in Japan, players explore a rich setting based on the famous Akiba district circa 2011, hunting vampiric foes and tearing off their clothes to expose them to the sunlight. This remaster brings the game up to modern HD graphical standards, all while retaining the charm of the original classic that sparked a cult hit series and burns in at $49.99. Akibas Trip, Hellhound, and Debriefed releases July 20th. Moving on, we have Cotton Reboot, which also releases July 20th, and players in this side-scrolling shooter play a young witch called Nada de Cotton, who is hot-headed, immature, overreacts, and rides on a broomstick, accompanied by a fairy named Silk. Cotton is crazy about candies called Willows. Those candies are so good that she won't let anything in her way to get them. Talk about sugar cravings. Cast your money towards this game for $39.99 on Nintendo Switch. And now we've got Chris Tales, which also releases July 20th. Discover a unique combination of branching stories, innovative combat, and classic RPG gameplay in Chris Tales. Exciting and unforgettable exploration of how actions echo through time. Join the newly awakened time mage Chris Bell and her fantastical companions in a fantasy world facing a grim future. The powerful Time Empress and her forces threaten to bring about a cataclysm, tearing apart Crystallis and the other 4 kingdoms of the region. Grab this other magical game for $39.99 on the Switch. And on July 22nd, we have a game called Last Stop coming out, which is an upcoming supernatural adventure video game set in present-day London. The game centers on 3 characters, John, Donna, and Mina, whose worlds collide amid a supernatural crisis. An anthology drama, Last Stop is 3 stories in one. The themes of this game involve a focus on secret lives, the ties that bind, and how magic can be found in the mundane. Last Stop is a third-person game where players control one of 3 main characters by deciding what they should say and performing various minigame interactions. This one is sure to capture your spooky side on the Nintendo Switch on July 22nd. And now we've got the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles that releases July 27th. Get ready to cross-examine your opponents and reason your way to justice in the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, releasing for the first time in North America and Europe on July 27th, 2021. The collection tells the story of an ancestor of Phoenix Wright, the protagonist of the iconic Ace Attorney courtroom adventure. In the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, players take on the role of a defense attorney to try to track down evidence, argue in court, and ensure a just ruling. Grab the evidence for this jury on July 27th for $39.99. Now we've got Neo: The World Ends With You that releases also on July 27th. In this action-adventure game, players are their choice of characters to play. A long-awaited new story in the World Ends With You series has finally arrived. Rendo comes to the grim realization that his life is on the line when he is forced to compete in the so-called Reaper's game. There's no telling how this tale will unfold, but it's up to you to find out. Put your psychic prowess to the test as you duke it out on the stylish animated streets of Shibuya. Choose wisely and grab this adventure game for $59.99 on the Nintendo Switch. And how can we forget about Samurai Warriors 5? Like previous games, the game will be a hack and slash. The player will face against hundreds of enemy soldiers on the battlefield, with the objective usually being the defeat of an enemy commander. This story takes place after the Onin War, during the golden age of the Sengoku period. It features a story that centers around the lives of 2 of the most representative military commanders of this era. Choose from the new and returning characters while utilizing new abilities to take on evolving enemy forces. Enjoy exhilarating strategic action on an evolved battlefield and hack away for this game on July 27th for $59.99. Next up, we have Fuga Melodies of Steel, which releases July 29th. This upcoming turn-based strategy role-playing game is set in a war-ravaged world where the fascist Burman Empire destroys a village. 11 child survivors band together after the attack and board of a gigantic tank known as Tyrannus. The Tyrannus houses a super weapon called the Soul Cannon, which is capable of immense destruction at the cost of a crew member's life, with the main characters having to choose when and whom to sacrifice for the group to reach their destination. The game is separated into 12 chapters and features multiple endings depending on player choice, so survive and find your family in this futuristic game for $59.99 on the Nintendo Switch. And last but not least, we have the possible surprise release with Pokemon Unite. I don't know about you guys, but I've been dying for Nintendo and Pokemon Company to get the ball rolling on this one. Pokemon Unite, as you know, is a multiplayer online battle arena game, or MOBA, with matches consisting of 2 teams of 5 players. The game map is split into 2 halves with multiple control points each. Players score points for their teams by defeating AI wild Pokemon. Players start each game controlling unevolved low-level Pokemon, which can increase its level and gain new access and new combat moves as it wins in battles. I really hope we get Pokemon Unite released in July, but I guess we will have to wait and see what Nintendo and Pokemon Company decide to do. Well guys, that's going to wrap it up with all of the games coming out in July for the Nintendo Switch. Which game are you guys going to be picking up? For me, it's got to be Skyward Sword HD, but I'm hoping to pick up a couple others on this list. Thank you for watching. This has been Wes, and I will talk to you on the next Nintendo Switch news video.